is a daunting parable of the grave responsibilities which now rest upon the shoulders of the whole human race in modern times. As Jesus was once assumed to be able to think with the mind of God, the collective human mind is becoming the organ of thought through which the universe, so far as this planet is concerned, can now direct its future. Now that the human race is being forced to play the role of God with regard to the sustaining of earthly life, the doctrine of the Incarnation has taken on a striking new relevance for this global, secular, and ecological world. But how did this modern world come into being? A world so different from that in which Christianity assumed its classical form. Well, it's an indisputable fact of history that the modern world emerged out of the Christian West. True, it's not Christian in the traditional sense, but neither is it anti-Christian. It's best referred to as post-Christian. And it is post-Christian in much the same way as Christianity itself is post-Jewish. Just as Christianity emerged out of Judaism, finding perhaps that Jewish practices had become a bit of a straitjacket from which it had to explode, to explore its new freedom. So the modern secular world has emerged out of the straitjacket of classical Christianity. There is no doubt that the modern secular world was conceived within the womb of Christendom. And after coming to birth, it had to struggle to find its identity, just as Christianity in the 1st and 2nd centuries had to find its identity. The modern world has had to free itself from the restrictions of its matrix. Now, there is much in the modern secular world to praise. The growth of democracy, the affirmation of basic human rights, the abolition of slavery, the rejection of racism, the emancipation of women, the acceptance of homosexuals. And they've all happened in the last 100 years. These have all evolved out of Western Christendom and sometimes are even referred to as Christian values. Of course, there's still a lot to deplore in the world: social inequalities, injustice, cruelty, violence, wars, waste of the earth's resources. Indeed, that's why it's so easy to become pessimistic about the future. The more we come to appreciate the crises that face us in this very century. And that's why in the 21st century, we need faith as never before. But it is not the God as imagined by our orthodox forebears in whom we must put our trust. We humans have come of age. We now have to learn to live responsibly. There is no divine being in the sky to whom we can turn for salvation. And like Teilhard de Chardin, we must learn to put our trust in cosmic creativity, which permeates the universe. And as the early Christians looked into the future with faith, they drew upon their experience And they came to express their faith in terms of the Holy Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Well, that formula has become meaningless to lots of people. Yet, like the ancients, we too must draw upon our experiences and current knowledge to express our faith. And strangely enough, it also leads to a trinity, what I have called a secular, this worldly trinity. And the first element of this trinity is the self-evolving universe itself. Here we observe cosmic creativity on the grand and most awe-inspiring scale. It brought forth life on the earth. It gave us human life, human intelligence, and the capacity to love. And the second element of the Trinity is the evolving human species. We humans manifest cosmic creativity in the way we have become a self-made species. That sounds arrogant at first, but I don't mean it that way. You see, what makes us human is not primarily our DNA. We share most of that with the higher vertebrates. What makes us human is what we have collectively created over hundreds of thousands of years. Language, ideas, knowledge, religion, science, everything that goes to make up human culture. That makes us human, and we humans created it. The third element is what may be called global consciousness. That's the modern equivalent of the Holy Spirit in the New Testament. In spite of our past cultural diversity, we humans, whether we like it or not, are being drawn together at an accelerating pace by the interchange of reliable knowledge, by the mass media of communication, and quite recently, by the internet.